About a week ago, I got a comment on one of my community posts recommending that I make a video on a game I enjoy. Now this stood out to me. I had never been asked to do something like this, and I was excited. And then about 3 seconds later, I realized I don't play many video games, which is weird for a guy who talks about them on YouTube, I know. But I was determined to make this video. Then, a few days later, I realized something else. I can make a video on my favorite video game, Elden Ring. Sounds obvious, I know, but it took me a week to think about that. So now I was even more determined and excited. So huge thanks for the suggestion. You two are now literally part of my family. So here we are, and I thought I should put a twist on it all too. Instead of doing the what happened to videos, I'll be coming back to the what makes it great. But on top of that, it's going to be what makes it the greatest. Because Elden Ring is the greatest the greatest achievement of mankind, of any living thing. So if this video comes off as a fanboy ranting about his favorite game, that's exactly what it is. I'm also bringing back my character thing. This time it's going to be staying Elden Ring no matter what I'm covering, though I might change Melina. She's the one on my shoulder, but she doesn't really want to let go. Also, this is my armor from Elden Ring. I have the exiled armor. It's a little mixed up, but the exiled are my brothers. When we first met, I was so happy to be part of their family, and they were so happy to welcome me. So without further delay, let's tackle this video. What makes Elden Ring the greatest video game of all time? First up, this is a very big video, so some explaining will be needed. I'm dividing the video into different sections. Each of those sections will be divided into several parts too. Okay, now let's actually do this. The world of Elden Ring is vast and full of so much. Though I'll try to cover as much as I can in this video, especially concerning the world, it wouldn't be possible to touch on everything in this video alone. But that right there is part of why it's great. A deep world is a special world. The Lord of the Rings is a deep and spectacular, adventurous world, and that's part of what makes it great. People who want to know more have so much more to learn about and know. A deep world is one that's easier to get attached to, care for, and get invested in, and that's exactly what Elden Ring is. An expansive, vast, and deep world. The lore behind everything is deep. The lore behind the enemies is deep. The lore behind the characters you bump into is deep. And even the bush you walk by at the very beginning is full of lore. How he was once an Elden Lord. Okay. We're getting off topic. I think the most simple way to put it is Elden Ring is so full of life that there's just so much to know and care for. Just the same for real life. There's just so much to know and care about. Hey, Dragonkin Soldier of Nuxtella just hit me up and reminded me to tell you to subscribe to the channel. Help a brother out and slay that subscribe button with my favorite weapon in the game, the Uchigatana. Thank you. On top of Elden Ring being so deep and full of life, it's also something never seen before. This will kind of explain in more detail what Elden Ring is so full of. A simple walk in a random town will just show you how new and exciting this world really is. The clever combination of many completely different styles of buildings and town layouts, the interesting designs of enemies and their weapons and attacks. In the case of other games, most of the time you can draw several ties to completely different worlds and video games just by looking at them. Oh, well, this was definitely inspired by that, or that looks a lot like this. But Elden Ring, even after playing the game for hours and hours, is just so hard to draw connections to. Elden Ring is really something new. The way the ideas and concepts are blended is just so well done. It could be something as small as how they mix fantasy with their own handful of new races, Tarnish and the Pot Guys, just to name a few. There's just some nuance to how they mix these new ideas that's so special and so new. Elden Ring is really a first experience. Now I can talk about how the world of Elden Ring is massive, deep, full of life and lore, and how it's so cool and never seen before, but I believe I wouldn't be doing it justice if I didn't bring up the darker side of the world. The evil, the darkness, and the greediness of this world adds something to it. While some enemies might be perfect nightmare fuel to a kid, there's a new and different kind of level and respect and admiration we tend to have for something that's more to the darker side of things. You can argue that the Joker from The Dark Knight was evil and horrific, but there's a different kind of respect we have for him, no matter if we agree with what he stands for. You don't usually go around saying, "Oh man, Powerpuff Girls is such a good show, man, that last scene, And we don't usually talk about Goat Simulator and go, oh my god, that last scene, it's one that'll stick with you. Now I'm not saying we don't respect these games and shows, but there's just a different kind of respect we have for something darker. Now you could go, oh my god, the scene where Godric the Grafted brutally severs his arm and grafts it with a massive dragon's head, Now, something that I was kind of confused about, especially when I first started playing Elden Ring, was if I enjoy this game so much, then why do I simply not want to play the Soulsborne games, aka Dark Souls and Bloodborne? And the answer to this is actually very simple. I enjoy the playstyle, so it's not that, and I'm okay with the insanely overpowered bosses. it's the world. The world of the Soulsborne games are just so hard to get into. If you enjoy stuff in that niche, then like the really dark hellhole stuff, then those games are great for you. They're deep too, but they're just so hard for people who aren't into the hopeless dark abyss to get into. Elden Ring isn't as tucked away in a specific niche as the Soulsborne games, and that right there is why I play Elden Ring and not Bloodborne. Now, I'm not saying that Elden Ring is the perfect, pretty, general, no-niche game, it's just broader than the Soulsborne games, thus from the start allowing many more people to get invested in the world. Now, everything we just talked about led up to this point right here. The deepness, freshness, the darkness, and the welcomingness, I guess, all form the perfect ratio. And for any of you who don't know what that is, it's something that I found in very certain games. It's very hard for companies to achieve the perfect ratio, but once it's accomplished, it creates a beautiful game. The perfect ratio is a flawless blend of being so close to reality, yet so far away. So close that it's a deep world that you get invested in, it becomes a world that you live, not a game you play, yet so far away from reality that it achieves a state of the magical and the fantastical. And to say that Elden Ring achieved it would be an understatement. They nailed it. Back in the old days when Valorant was just a little baby game that just got released, I was playing it, and I sucked at it, like really bad. But there was something to sucking so bad that pushed me to fight harder. It wasn't even that I liked the game or a very certain agent or anything like that, it was the challenge. So I worked and I studied, I learned and I practiced, and to this day, if I get a warm-up, of course, it's been a while, I am an amazing player. I'm above average. And I know this is the same for many other people out there. So the challenge in Elden Ring doesn't make me rage quit unless it's this guy, because man, he ticked me off. It pushes me forward. I learn the attack patterns of enemies. I learn what moves work best, and this goes for bosses and simple enemies. Now this all sounds heroic and all, but I can't say I've never cheesed a boss before. I mean, come on. Especially this guy. Man, I hate him. So I may or may not have run around the tree and slashed through it to kill him. Just saying, just saying. The multiplayer system in Elden Ring is so much fun. You can team up with random people from around the world to fight a boss as a team or simply explore the world together. It offers so much and it's just so fun. A memory I'll take to the grave was probably 2 days after Elden Ring's release date. I had used the multiplayer finger thing for the first time and got sent into another player's world. I was farming in Limgrave back then, so it was my stomping grounds. It was me, a samurai, a mage, and another samurai. We didn't team up to fight any specific boss or anything, but we just went off into this vast world and explored. We fought together, and it was a blast. I had a bunch of my siblings up late that night too, so it was just such a good memory and a special time to me. Then of course a massive school bus sized bear jumped out of a rock and killed us, but such a good time. I'm still looking for that bear. Now, I know this aspect goes throughout the Soulsborne games, but in Elden Ring, it's handled so much better. The glimpses of other players you get to see throughout your playtime connects you to all the other people around the world experiencing this world, and that right there is so special. It's more common in this game than some of the others, and it's just so cool to see the armor other people are wearing. I mean, it's just really cool. The story in Elden Ring is as deep and as dark as the world, and though it might not all be explained in a way we can understand at the beginning, it's there. Elden Ring has us go through the game and put it together on our own, what's happened, what's happening, and maybe even what's going to happen. As a Tarnished, a race from a far-off land, you've come to the lands between to become the Elden Lord, or that's what I've put together so far. If you've been part of the channel for a bit now, then you'll know I am a huge fan of music, and to say that Elden Ring's OST isn't good would be the farthest thing from the truth. Elden Ring's music was made by God himself. I had to mute the audio the other night when I was getting some shots for this video because I knew if I heard just a little bit of the main theme, then I'll be sitting there for many hours playing, and that's how good it is. While riding Torrent far off in the woods has beautiful yet haunting ambience to go with the sound of your seed, the boss and combat music instantly sets the stage, with music that raises the tension of the already thrilling combat. The music in Elden Ring adds to the darkness and the seriousness of the game, and the epicness. Now, you might be asking, why the heck is the trailer in this video? Let me explain. A while ago, back in a terrible world without Elden Ring, I watched the trailer, and it was cool and interesting, until Margaret the Fell Omen's voice started playing. Of course, I didn't know who that was at the time, but there was something about that voice that was so powerful and strong. The flame of ambition. Literally, if I hear it, I will no matter what be playing Elden Ring for the next 12 hours. That right there is what made me excited for Elden Ring. I stood up after watching the trailer, I looked up, and I said, Elden Ring is going to be the greatest game of all time. And sadly, I was wrong. It's the greatest achievement of any living thing ever. And one more thing I need to bring up. When was the last game that got the world, not country, not style of gamers or anything like that, the world that excited and hyped for a game? Elden Ring literally captured the world's heart. Elden Ring is the greatest game of all time. No ordinary game just gets every human being and animal on the planet excited for it. Elden Ring does. And for the non-official yet totally true and final part of the video, the part where I get to rant like a child. Elden Ring is the greatest game of all time. There's an epic feeling to it. The dark world of the Land Between offers so much. The quest for the Elden Lord will not be an easy one, as the inhabitants of this broken land try to tear you down. All the while, the epic music by Yuka Kitamura is roaring in the background. The way the people in this game speak, Elden Ring really is a first experience. I love Elden Ring so much. I learned how to play it on the piano. I love Elden Ring so much that I put it in every single video I make, even if it has nothing to do with Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the greatest achievement of any living thing ever. So what do you think? The video was a little longer than I like, but hey, I had a blast making it. So once again, thank you so much for the suggestion. I'm trying to make the next video on one of the Far Cry games, but we'll see. If you have any suggestions on that, I'll take them. But I'll probably be too busy playing Elden Ring anyway. So if you have any suggestions or ideas, please let me know. And I'm not limited to talking about dead games. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and remember, Elden Ring is the greatest video game of all time. Life is short. Play great games. Skyrim truly is a magical world. Many other games have attempted to achieve what it accomplished but didn't come close. Skyrim is as effective and as powerful as it is because of one simple idea: the perfect ratio. The perfect ratio isn't anything that's easily mastered. Skyrim was not only able to nail it, but to hit it so hard that the result is a game that has affected the lives of so many